You see, I am a nice leg enthusiast in a way when it comes to anime girls, right? And I do feel like the sculpt is not good enough. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Kurogane Studio today with a Nikke scale figure review. So this is a follow-up from Blanc. Obviously, I have decided to review both figures separately because each of these figures, they have a slight difference in terms of their quality in the sculpt department, and I had to separate them. I prefer to focus on one by one this time around, unlike that Lulumo and Kuromo figure which I reviewed together. So first things first, what we are looking at over here, this is Good Smile Arts Shanghai 1/7 scale Noir from Goddess of Victory Nikke. Official pricing is exactly the same as Blanc. 22,909 Japanese yen, almost 23,000 yen before taxes and shipping. For the Chinese price, 1100 Chinese yuan, which would be almost the same as the Japanese price after you do a conversion. No pricing advantage over here, regardless of whether you get it from China or from Japan. But I love to get my figures from China because I can use this proxy service called Superbuy, which is the sponsor of today's figure review. Superbuy is a proxy service where, for those of you who can't communicate well in Chinese but you want to buy figures or other merchandise from Taobao, you can make use of Superbuy to buy from multiple different sellers and then ship it to the warehouse over at Superbuy, where you can combine ship and forward it to you in your country where you save on shipping cost. So if you want to make sure you get stuff nicely without any damage, like the Hobby Sakura Nikke figure that I reviewed last week, she arrived perfectly, and that was with Superbuy, then you should check out this service. If you have not signed up for one, please do make use of my links down in the description below to sign up for an account today. And from time to time, they will have offers. They'll run promos, discounts, and so on. Don't forget to follow the subreddit r/Superbuy to get more deals over there. So thanks a lot to Superbuy for sponsoring today's figure review, and let's get back to where I left off. The release date for this figure was in late January 2026, so quite a few months ago at the time of publishing of this video, but it is still a very new figure and a relatively popular one because based on the aftermarket prices I have been observing so far, her price has remained mostly stable, not that much lower compared to the official recommended retail price, but also not going up at the same time. Meanwhile, for the height of this figure, I have done my measurements in advance as usual. On the official spec sheet over here in MFC, provided by Good Smile, the height is 25 centimeters. Seems like they are providing the dimensions, not including the base, which I really appreciate. I wish that every figure brand would do this because the measurements I got, including the base all the way to the top of her head over here, is actually 26, but once you take off the base, yep, 25 centimeters. Meanwhile, for the box, yes, the box is pretty much identical to Noir. After all, they come in pairs, they better be identical because I really liked Noah's box with the exception of the lack of a front window. Same case over here, this time around this figure came in perfect condition. At least for this one, I used different shipping services, right? I believe I used Superbuy for this figure, but not for a Blanc that I reviewed a few days ago. So this one, solid box, protects the figure very well, and I can give it an 8 out of 10. The same score I gave to Blanc in terms of the box quality. It is very good. And once again, we have a shiny Shift Up Corporation sticker in front, so this thing is legit. It is genuine. Meanwhile, for assembly, there is none of it, unlike Blanc. Right, with Blanc, you had to plug the figure into the base and you are free to swap out the head if you wish. Meanwhile, for this figure, there is one step less. This figure comes out from the box permanently attached to the base. I don't know why they did this. I don't know why there's a difference between this and Blanc. Probably it's because of her dress, this piece over here being attached to the base permanently. They had to do that for some reason. I have no idea, I'm just guessing over here. So as a result, if you shake the figure, this thing is a lot more stable than Blanc in general. Does not wobble much or at all. This is way more stable. If we are looking at the stability of the figure alone when shaken, this is at least a 9 out of 10, but just like Blanc, we have the same problematic base over here where the surface area is a bit small and the base is way too hollow and lightweight with the weight of the figure mostly concentrated on top. So what you get is something that is easily knocked over, right? If you're not careful enough, and you might risk breaking something, which in this case would be the hairpin behind her head over here. Be very careful about it. So I have to deduct 1 point over there. This figure gets an 8 out of 10 for stability, not 9, because she's easy to knock over. This is still a point higher than Blanc though. Blanc was a bit more shaky after all. The only part which you can replace over here is the head, where you get 2 different face expressions. So we are now in the sculpt department, where as far as the face is concerned, there is only good news. Just like Blanc, the face looks identical to what we saw in the official product pictures during the pre-order period. And regardless of which one you go for, the default one or the drunk face, which I think I would prefer, a more interesting face expression overall. So that would be what I prefer given the choice. So the face is an easy 9 out of 10, same score as Blanc as well. Regardless of which one you go for, both get a 9 out of 10 from me. Meanwhile, for the sculpt of the rest of the figure, there is both good news and bad news. The good news is that this is way more detailed than Blanc, in the sense that the outfit design has a lot more tiny details on it. The most obvious one is the legs, right? Where she's wearing these super detailed boots over here. I love that so much. All the tiny details on the strings, in front of her boots. Meanwhile, even the upper outfit over here is also quite a bit nicer in design compared to Blanc. So this figure has an advantage in the scoring department when it comes to the sculpting department. But there is one problem. And I'm not sure if this is a subjective observation or a valid complaint. I'm not happy about it. And that would be the seam line on both legs over here that separates her upper thigh, the skin region, and the lower legs, which are the stockings and the boot. These 2 lines over here, I am a bit unhappy about it. And no, there's nothing wrong with the seam line itself. The parts are tight fitting, no gaps, no glue leaking out, none of the weird stuff. But I do feel like the sculpt is not good enough. Specifically, the skin area up here, it is not a very gentle curve, if you know what I mean. You see, I am a nice leg enthusiast in a way. When it comes to anime girls, right? I love a nice pair of legs. So I pay attention to Zetai Roiki a lot. This is not Zetai Roiki because she's not wearing a skirt, but that zone between skin region and the stockings below, you need that skin region to curve slightly down where a very tight pair of stockings are squeezing against it. The legs are supposed to curve smoothly like that, but it just tapers off or barrel off in this case. So it looks a bit unnatural, looks unrefined, and I don't like that. And I just said that I pay attention to legs a lot. So this is the one part that I am unhappy about the sculpt with this figure of Noir. And for that reason, I still couldn't give it a score of higher than 8 out of 10 compared to Blanc. Blanc was an 8 out of 10 if I remembered correctly. This should score higher, but because of her thighs, I couldn't give it any higher than that. I'm nitpicking a lot as you can see, but I have to as a figure reviewer. Meanwhile, for the paint work, this is Good Smile Arts Shanghai we are talking about. They never get things perfect. But maybe it is also because of their track record not being that excellent. I have a tendency to purposely look for faults in the paintwork. Maybe it is also partly my own bias. And this is something so minor that maybe most of you will not notice. If there is a flaw, there's only one, a very minor one. At the back over here on my copy of this figure, once again, there is a very tiny scratch. It is just a very tiny scarf and not as deep compared to the scratch we saw on Blanc's left leg. You only see it when you look at it very closely, or perhaps shine this part under a bright light source where the shiny surface of her dress will give away that scratch over there. Maybe this is something that is quite common nowadays in anime figures. I'm not sure how common it is, but yes, I'm nitpicking. because this is the only flaw I can find in the paintwork. Meanwhile, for everything else, I'm very happy with what I am getting. I just couldn't repeat myself enough about her boots. All these tiny details, the heavy shading on the dark brown and grey color parts combined with those gold color details, everything is precisely painted, no paint bleeding, no paint transfer, no scratches in these important areas in my opinion. So I could look at her boots all day. I love this kind of details in anime figures. Meanwhile, for the rest of the outfit, very similar to Blanc, we get gold color parts being applied as decals over here on both sides. They are quite nice looking. I love them. And the gold color paint on the rest of the outfit are also painted very precisely. No major paint bleedings of any kind or any other flaws. So overall, the paint work on this figure is a lot better than Blanc. Not because Blanc had terrible quality control issues, but rather because of the character design, making her more detailed. And Good Smile Arts Shanghai did get the paint work on the detailed parts mostly right. No major issues over here. So with the paint work of this figure, can give it an 8 out of 10 as well, not any higher, because the figure needs to be more detailed if I were to give her a higher score. The base, as I mentioned earlier, permanently attached to the figure, small and compact, very nice wooden texture and matte finish. Does not scratch very easily. Exactly the same base as Blanc, so she gets the same exact score at 8 out of 10 as well. Very good base, just that it should be heavier. So with today's figure review, the conclusion, I would say that she still comes as recommended, just like Blanc. You need to get both as a set. But you can always wait for other options by other brands. I believe Alter has a pair coming out, not cheap. I think 36,000 yen for a pair of two figures. But when you look at the price, that is for two figures, right? 36k. The Alter one is actually cheaper than this one. But will it be better? Remains to be seen. Those are bunny girls. They are simpler character designs even compared to this. And then there is the 1x10 scales by Hobby Sakura. Those are low budget figures. And we have 1x4 scales coming from Stargazer, a new figure brand, but they are of the same outfit as these two figures by Good Smile Arts Shanghai. For the price, 23,000 yen or so, they are still good purchases, but obviously you may want to wait for other options depending on whether you like this outfit or not. I hope that you found this review to be helpful and informative enough. If it is, please do not forget to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content. Until then, I'll see you guys soon in a few days. Goodbye.